Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is that you are watching this. I woke up this morning. I got a doctor's appointment this morning. I gotta go get my pump refilled. But I got online and started reading the news, and it just got me so fired up that I had to write this Substack. I mean, this is getting out of control. Let me make sure I'm sharing. Yes, I am. Okay. The Democrats are playing a dangerous game, stoking violence to flip the narrative by Sammy the Squirrel. As a proud MAGA supporter, I see through the Democrats' playbook. They're not just fear mongering about President Trump and the MAGA movement, they're deliberately inciting their brainwashed followers to act out violently, all while setting the stage to blame MAGA and the rule of law. Their rhetoric is a fuse, and they're hoping to spark chaos, not a second civil war, but something just as dangerous. Let's expose what's really going on. The Democrats' words aren't just divisive, they're a call to arms. From labeling President Trump as a dictator to painting MAGA as a threat to democracy, they're whipping their base into a frenzy. They demonize ICE agents, calling for resistance and even violence against those enforcing our laws. This isn't politics, it's incitement. They're telling their followers to take to the streets, to lash out against law enforcement, and to target anyone who stands for law and order. Why? Because chaos serves their agenda. They know their policies are horrible: open borders, soft on crime stances. They can't withstand scrutiny, so they stoke fear and outrage, hoping their followers will erupt. And when they do, the Democrats are ready to spin it. The mainstream media is now a propaganda machine, flipping the script. And here's the sick part: the Democrats don't just encourage violence, they plan to profit from it. Their propaganda arm, the mainstream media, is primed and ready to flip the story when a rioter attacks an ICE agent or a MAGA supporter. The headlines won't condemn the attacker. Instead, they'll portray the attacker as a victim of abusive law enforcement or hate-filled conservatives. It's a twisted game of circular reporting. Leak a sob story to one outlet, let others amplify it, and suddenly the truth is buried under a flood of opinion pieces masquerading as news. This isn't speculation. We've seen it before. Antifa riots recast as protests, criminals lionized as martyrs. The mainstream media's job is to make law and order look wrong while shielding the violent criminal. And the Democrats are counting on it to keep their base fired up and their narrative intact. Illegal immigration is a powder keg of lies. At the heart of this is the Democrats' obsession with illegal immigration. They claim there are only 12 million illegals in the U.S. I can't believe it. I heard a Democrat say this just yesterday, that there was only 12 million illegals in the U.S., a number that hasn't budged in over a decade, even though Biden's open border policies let in at least that many unvetted in just 4 years. No background checks, no accountability among them. Enemies of America, operatives from hostile nations, have slipped right on in, organizing, waiting for their moment to destabilize us. The Democrats are fanning the flames, telling illegals they're entitled to constitutional rights that, frankly, don't apply to illegals. They're stoking outrage, pushing these communities toward a boiling point, hoping for an uprising they can exploit. They don't care about the consequences: riots, violence, property damage, or worse, because they think they can control the story. But they're playing with fire, risking a revolt that could tear the country apart. I believe the real goal is chaos, not civil war. Don't get it twisted. The Democrats aren't plotting a literal civil war. They don't need one. They want just enough violence to justify their power grab. More censorship, more control, more propaganda. They're betting that a few high-profile clashes, rioters, wait a minute, I got that backwards. It should have been illegals versus ICE, rioters versus cops. I can't believe I got that backwards. Will let them scream systemic oppression and rally their base while demonizing MAGA. It's a setup to paint President Trump's law and order agenda as tyranny and flip public opinion against us. But they're miscalculating. The American people, especially MAGA, aren't buying it. We see the lies, the double standards, the way they coddle lawbreakers while attacking patriots. And we know the truth. Without borders, without law, we lose our great republic. MAGA's call: stay vigilant, stay strong, keep your head on a swivel, and if you see something, then say something. This is what we need to do. We stay sharp. We don't fall for the Democrats' traps or the mainstream media spin. When they push their sob stories about victimized rioters, we demand the facts. When they demonize ICE or President Trump, we double down on supporting law and order. And when they try to paint us as the bad guys, we stand tall with our heads held high, knowing we're fighting for America's future. MAGA isn't just a movement, it's a shield against this chaos. We've got to call out the Democrats' incitement, expose their propaganda, and hold the line for the rule of law. They want us divided, scared, or better yet, silent. But we're none of those things. We're awake, we're united, and we're ready to take our great republic back. Now, let's see, where are we? We're at, that's 6 minutes. That was pretty quick. I mean, I was pretty upset. I mean, it seemed like every freaking headline I read at 3 o'clock this morning was about another Democrat calling for violence, all while not calling for violence. They're speaking with a forked tongue, as they used to say, Indians used to call the white man, speak with forked tongue, say one thing and do another, They're sitting there calling for blood needs to be spilled and all that. But hey, remain peaceful. Trump's a dictator, but hey, don't do nothing about it. We've got people online making online videos calling for the assassination of MAGA people, MAGA representatives, and not just them, but starting with their children. I mean, and the Democrats and the mainstream media are egging this on. This is not going to end well. And the first time illegal gets shot by an ICE agent or a federal marshal because of resisting arrest, or a group of people come and try to protect the illegal because of the hype that the mainstream media and the Democrats have pushed, is only going to get them in trouble, destroy their lives, and probably send them to prison for up to 10, maybe 20 years, while the Democrats profit off of their stupidity. It's the best way I can say it, because they were stupid enough to allow themselves to be brainwashed by these talking points and propaganda from the mainstream media and the Democrats. It's got to get fixed. It's just got to get fixed. And until we fix it, it's only going to get worse. And the longer we allow it, it's only going to get worse. So it needs to be fixed soon. I'm not saying right now, because I believe we're using the system as well, and we're using it to expose deep state agents and all this other stuff. I know. Everybody thinks conspiracy theory the minute I say deep state or whatever, but I mean, what else do you call them? It's a group of members within government around the world, not just here in the U.S., but who take advantage and game the system for their own personal benefit. That's what the deep state is. They only care about themselves and their family's wealth and how much power they can retain. Everybody else is is fodder, cannon fodder, you know, to them. They only care about their immediate personal power and wealth. And that's their end game. They want to be powerful and wealthy. That's just it, bottom line. And they'll do anything, even violence, to attain it. And it has to be stopped. It's getting out of control bad, and it needs to stop. And we, the people, can stop it. Citizen journalists on X, Telegram, uh, uh, Substack, Truth Social, Rumble. Put your thoughts out there. Whenever you see a post that is deceptive, correct it. On X, request a community note. You know, if you don't know, if you don't know how to do it, it's very simple. Just go in there and follow the directions. I mean, I can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. You know, on Truth Social, if somebody's posting a lie, you know, get up there and repost it with, you know, the facts. You know, and get on Telegram, get on Rumble, you know, make videos, write stories, express your opinion. You know, everybody has the right to free speech, and we need to express that right of free speech to inform the people of what is really going on, not the propagandized and heavily opinionated news stories that the mainstream media currently puts out, thanks to Obama modernizing the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948 and 2012, which gave permission for the State Department and the government to work hand in hand with the mainstream media to propagandize and opinionate the news in order to brainwash American citizens. Before, the Smith-Mundt Act was originally passed to keep this exact thing from happening that's happening right now with the media. How the media propagandizes news stories today is, I mean, everybody says, you know, the news was always propagandized. I agree, it was. But before they modernized the Smith-Mundt Act, we could fine news outlets up to, you know, like $10 million for knowingly falsely reporting on a story. Like the good people on both sides hoax, they would have never been able to get away with that because they would have had to include the entire quote from President Trump, not just that one cherry-picked part. Okay? The Kyle Rittenhouse stuff, they would have never gotten away with that, you know, until Obama passed or modernized the Smith-Mundt Act. It's all in how the way they present the news with personal opinions, biased propaganda, is how they manipulate the people into acting certain ways. A person makes decisions on the information they know. And if the mainstream media and the Democrats control the information the people are allowed to know, they can then control how we will think and how we will act. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. But what's scarier even more still is that so many Americans don't see it. They're either too busy working or just don't want to see it. Don't want to accept that the government lies to them. My children think that I'm going to be thrown off my Medicaid, my disability. You know, I'm not. You know, it's the way the mainstream media reported it. They made it seem like they were going to throw disabled Americans off of disability and all this stuff and Medicaid, when that wasn't true. What they were doing was they were removing all the thousands of people who were 150 years old and older off of receiving checks. There was that one baby that Elon Musk found. Remember, he talked about it in the Oval Office. He said there was one baby that wasn't even born yet. I think it was like 2046 was their birthday. And they were already receiving retirement and disability checks for years. And they weren't even born yet. I mean, Those are the people that are being kicked off Medicaid. The illegals who never paid a single penny into the system. Once they crossed the border, Biden's administration was giving them everything, every one of our social services, right there, immediate approval. Here's your food stamp card. Here's your rent card. Here's a place for you to stay. And then they go out there and they take jobs away from American citizens for half the pay and being paid under the table. The employer saves a whole bunch of money. Why pay a construction laborer $20 an hour when you can pay an illegal 10 and then not have to pay the federal taxes and Social Security taxes and workman's compensation insurance and all this other garbage that you have to do in order to employ somebody? They just do it under the table, no questions asked. At the end of the day, just pay them, like $40, $50, $60 and then send them on their way. Those are jobs that Americans will take and do. It's just crazy. It's 16 minutes. I'm gonna end this here. I've ranted on a little bit too long. Y'all have a great day. Thank you to my paid subscribers. Y'all are great. And I'll see you. I'm probably gonna write another one later today, depending on the news. But I gotta get ready to go to the doctor and get my pump refilled, and then I'll be good for another 3 months. All right, y'all have a great day. Bye.